I challenge you to a duel.
It's the only argument I need. I don't want to talk to you no more, you.
You got a lot of nerve.
Soon you will know what it's like to be defeated. Stop defending him, Sean.
All right, let's go.
Hey, Sleepers! We are officially halfway through the fantasy football regular season, and it is that time of year when waivers are more important than ever. So welcome back to the SleeperWire Great Debate Show. As always, I am your host, Professor Chris, and today I've got Prophet Hoos back on the Great Debate. Once again, here to bring you those unbiased, objective, and stats-based arguments to this show. Hoos, how's it going, man? Been a while.
Been a while, pretty darn good though, because we're still in the thick of the fantasy season, and we still got 6 weeks. I start to get sad around get 3 weeks left and stuff. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm starting a little bit of basketball season too. I'll probably lose for a few weeks because I don't pay attention to it until football season's over. But that's a long season like baseball. But we still got football. We still do. Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm doing fantasy basketball for the first time ever this season. So it's kind of interesting. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. That was my baseball team name. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I won a fantasy championship.
No clue. I've got like 3 Pacers on my team. It's
Miles Turner,
Oladipo, and Darren Collison. So hey, I needed a backup point guard. So.
It's a nice start in the year.
Yeah, I'll take it. All right, guys. Well, if you like what you hear here on the Great Debate, please go to iTunes or Google Play or wherever you listen to the show. Drop us a 5-star rating and leave us a nice review. That helps out the show. That helps us gain exposure. It helps us, gain recognition, get pushed up on the list a little bit, all that good stuff. Also, guys, just a quick heads up that not every single week is this all-star waiver wire week where, you've got these great options off the waiver wire. Sometimes you get duds. Last season, we had 1, maybe 2. There was a week where we did Cameron Artis-Payne in the Great Debate. Hoos, I think you were a part of that one.
It was brutal.
Sometimes you get duds. Maybe that's what we've got this week. But even then, we are still here with you every single week for the waiver wire, regardless, especially now when bye weeks are hitting and they're almost at their absolute peak. We're almost at the point in the season where we've got 6 teams on a bye. We've got 4 out this week. We have 2 names who I didn't think we were going to be talking about this season. Danny Amendola versus Donte Moncrief. So I've got Amendola. Hoos has Moncrief, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it off here. All right, so Danny Amendola, the 10-year veteran, is surprisingly on pace for his best season since 2010 with the Rams. Through 7 games this year, he's on pace for 69 catches and 672 yards. Both of those stats are the best he's had since 2010. Hands down. Granted, he's also dealt with injuries his whole career. I'll see that he hasn't played a full season since 2014. In fact, he's only played a full season in his career twice. Only 2 times. I know injuries are a big knock against this guy. But like we said at the beginning of the show, it is a bad waiver wire week, and we've got some good wide receivers on a bye this week. The Falcons, Cowboys, Chargers, and Titans are off week 8. That's Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu, Cole Beasley, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams, Corey Davis, and newly traded for Amari Cooper. These are all guys who were being played or flexed in a ton of leagues this last week. It's not much of a secret that Albert Wilson has been the guy recently for the Dolphins, right? He's put up some huge games, but he did just get a hip injury that is potentially a season-ending injury. Without Albert Wilson, the only guy who is a threat to cut into Danny Amendola in Miami's offense is Kenny Stills. Guess what? Big news came out on Monday that Stills has already been ruled out for Week 8 against the Texans, and there's a good chance that he's going to miss more than 1 week. Therefore, it's just Devontae Parker, who is bad, and Jakeem Grant. Danny Amendola is going to get his. He is going to get targeted. He's had 18 targets over the last 2 weeks. If Brocktober continues, Brock Osweiler, and why wouldn't it? The Dolphins have been scoring with Osweiler at quarterback. Then Amendola seems to be a guy with a safe floor when it comes to target share in that Miami offense. He's always been a guy with reliable hands. He's got 30 receptions on 38 targets this season. good for a 79% catch rate. That is second in the NFL for wide receivers with more than 30 targets. Second. That's a reliable guy. That's someone that a quarterback wants to depend on. He wants to throw the ball to a guy who he believes is going to catch the ball. And Danny Amendola has certainly been that guy for the Dolphins, and particularly for Osweiler. With Osweiler at quarterback, Amendola has been the guy to move the chains as well. Almost all of his targets have come between the 20s, so not necessarily the biggest red zone threat, but that's another sign that a quarterback can rely on a wide receiver.
Yeah, Amendola's great when Tom Brady's throwing the ball. Brock Osweiler, on the other hand, yeah, he looked decent. Maybe he's going to earn his 1-year deal. But at the end of the day, it's still Brock Osweiler. It's Jakeem Grant. Amendola, he's got the targets that's coming his way, right? That's decent, but at the end of the day, he's not going to catch much touchdowns for you. He's never really has. He's never captured over 5 touchdowns. So even with the switch, I don't think you're going to see much of a touchdown. In a PPR, he's going to be usable, but that's if the guy can stay healthy. I mean, he's always has injuries. He was limited in practice with a shoulder injury just today. He's got that Q already in his stat. And you got Devontae Parker. They have to try to get him the ball. He's been bad. Yeah, he's been disinterested. He doesn't really like to play football. I kind of feel bad for the guy. But he's got to be out there. He's going to be out there. He's going to be getting some targets away. And then they're using a good amount of their tight ends. They're using Gesicki. They were using the other tight end, the backup, the old O'Leary, Nick O'Leary. They're using these guys. So they're going to continue to spread around the ball. I like the target share, but it's just hard for me to buy into them with the amount of fab that you're probably going to have to spend on them as well.
All right, let's move over to Donte Moncrief. Who's kick it away?
Donte Moncrief, man. This guy, 6'2", 221, 440. That's his yard dash. The guy is a stud. Now, we've seen him be a stud with Andrew Luck at the quarterback. Granted, Andrew Luck is not the quarterback. They've got Bortles. They've got other guys coming off the bench. Bortles have been named the starting quarterback again. But he's seeing the target share. They paid him $9 million, fully guaranteed deal. He's seeing the most targets on the team. Whichever, if it's whatever quarterback it is. Moncrief he's a guy that you can rely on to catch touchdowns. He's a reception guy. As long as he sees the targets, he's going to be able to provide for you. Now, he had that dud last week. He only saw 3 targets, and that's when they made the change as well, I believe. But this is that 1 week where you probably picked them up and you probably started them and then you probably dropped them back to waivers, and now it's time to pick them back up. Because at the end of the day, you're not finding much receivers that it's going to get you double-digit points in the PPR just sitting on waivers. And especially at his price, you're probably not going to spend much fab on him, a little to nothing, I believe, just because, he's shown the ability to dud for you. But 7 for 76, 6 for 76, 5 for 109. He's got 2 touchdowns already for the year. And he's captured over 75 yards already 3 times this year. I just think, against Philly this week, he's going to play that. He's going to play in a position where he's going to get peppered with targets. Keelan Cole has not really been much, as advertised, unfortunately. And none of the other receivers have. So it seems like they need to see what they have in Moncrief, the 1-year deal here. And we've seen him do it before. He's a 3rd-round pick, 90th overall. So he has talent. The guy, he's a talented guy. He's posted career highs, 64. His career high 64 passes for 733 yards back in 2015. And 2016, he missed about 6 games with a shoulder sprain. So he's had some injury issues, but now he's healthy and he seems to be the only guy out there. They're missing tight ends left and right. He's the only guy that you can rely on the Jaguars at this point. They have no run.
Blake Bortles, Cody Kessler. Not sure I have to say much more than that about Donte Moncrief, but I will. Doug Marrone came out Monday and stated that the Jaguars are going to be sticking with Blake Bortles as their starter. But last week, they also said they weren't going to bring in any other quarterback to compete with him, and then they benched him at halftime for Cody Kessler. Donte Moncrief has been getting targets, that's true. But we all know that they aren't quality targets. They're coming from Blake Bortles. They're not quality targets. They are off-target passes that he has to work to come down with. I watched Donte Moncrief as a Colt for years, and he is a very good player when he has a quarterback that can get him the ball. He's got 50 targets on the season and just 25 receptions. Not because he drops 50% of the passes, it's the quarterback play. The thing is, also, almost all of his targets are short passes. This past week, he had a 24-yard catch, but the other 6 catches that he had this past week were for 10 yards or less. That is slot wide receiver production. And when it comes to slot wide receivers, the guys that we're talking about today, I think I'm going to go with Danny Amendola, who is the lead wide receiver for the Dolphins now. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move into final thoughts here. So I'm going to take it back to Danny Amendola. Just a couple things I wanted to, clear up here at the end. Look, once again, it's a bad waiver wire week. I admit it. We admit it. You can't always land studs every week in the season off of waivers. But there are always guys who have good potential and guys who are just flat out getting the targets. And these 2 guys this week have been getting regular targets recently, Moncrief and Amendola. But with Amendola, the opportunity is there as the now wide receiver 1 for the Dolphins. He is worth scooping up.
Yeah, this is, like Chris said, alluded to, this is a bad week of waiver wires, but these are flex plays at best. I mean, give me 26 receptions, 391 yards. He's actually averaging 15 yards in receiving yards. So, I mean, that's not terrible. That's actually the best he's done. So, yeah, he's playing out of slot, but what's different about him this year is he's being more elusive. He's getting more after the catch. So he's funny enough, Amendola, it's kind of replacing that Landry role, but it's like Moncrief is kind of getting that yards after the catch, or after contact and turning it into a little bit more. He actually caught a ball for 60 yards. So he does have some boom to him. And he's got 2 touchdowns on the year. We know he's a touchdown guy. So if they get to low, they're going to probably start to use him a little bit more in the red zone. They need to. And again, he's already on pace to surpass his 2015 year with 733 yards and just 64 balls. He's playing 8 games already for the year, or on track to. We haven't seen him as healthy, but again, this seems like it's going to be Moncrief's year. They're probably going to bring him back another year. And if it's a dynasty as well, obviously we're not talking dynasty, but for this week, he's a useful guy. They're playing, they have a decent matchup this week. So I think he's going to be the target hope monster there. These are 2 guys that, unfortunately, that this is probably what's throwing waivers for you. But at the end of the day, I think against Philly, they're going to have to use him. Yeah, he's a slot guy, so he's going to be the guy that I would lean on just based off of history and being a stud.
It's one of those weeks, man. In one of my leagues, the only wide receiver I have not on a bye this week is Jermaine Kearse, and I am dropping him. So you guys are probably maybe in at least one league going to find yourself in a situation like this where you have to get a wide receiver. These 2 guys are pretty available out there in all sorts of different platforms. Today's show is sponsored by the great memorabilia site pristineauction.com. They've got hundreds of new auctions every single day. Everything is on there is JSA certified, so it's all authentic. It is a great deal. It's free to join, it's free to bid, and you only pay when you win. Visit pristineauction.com today and let them know that you heard about them from SleeperWire. That is PRISTINE auction.com. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the SleeperWire Great Debate. Hoos, thank you so much for joining me once again, man.
Oh, man, glad to be on. It's always good to do the debates, and I'll see you on Thursday show.
Absolutely, guys. Follow us on Twitter at SleeperWire Show. I'm on there at prof_Chris SW. You can find Hoos on there at SleeperWire Hoos. You can find us on the Sleeper app at Professor Chris and Prophet Hoos, and the Fantasy Life app at Professor Chris and Hoos the Prophet. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week, hopefully with better waivers.